Hello student, in this video we will see the chapter number 5, that is of the fundamental unit of life, that is called the cell. Now let's see detail in this chapter. First of all, we have to study about the cell. We see the definition of the cell. Means what is the meaning of the cell? Before we understand the cell, first of all, will you a scientist who first time examined the thin slice of the cork throughout his self-designed microscope. Here you can see in the figure. In 1665, Robert Hooke was the scientist who first time observed a cell in the slice of cork through his self-designed microscope. And in the microscope, it is look like a honeycomb, which is consist of many little compartments. Here you can see in the video. It's a microscopic view of the slice of the cork. So this each component which is look like the honeycomb as well. So this all the little room or this all the compartment, that is called as a cell. The cell, that is of Roman word, and the meaning of the cell, that is of a room, a little room. All the living things which are composed of the cell. Living things means plant, animals, human, these all are the living things. These all the living things that composed of the cell, they all are made up by the cell. So we can say that it is a basic unit of life. That's why we consider a cell as a basic unit of light. Now, we will see the cell of an onion and the plant peel. First of all, we take the onion, and this activity is given in chapter number 5, that is 5.1. In that, first of all, we have to take the onion, and then after we have to take the onion peel, which is a transparent one. Then after, we have to stain it with the saffronin. Saffronin is the stain to give the color of the cell, by which we can easily understand the structure of the cell. Suppose the onion peel, which is placed over here, and then after the rectangular piece, which is known as a cover slip, or it is also may occur in a round shape. So we have to place over here, and we have to keep it into the microscope. So you can easily see this kind of structure which is shown in the figure. Here you can see. Here you can see in the each of the cell, which consists of a one dark dot. Here you can see in the middle, black dot is there. This dot is known as a nucleus. And rather than this black dot, that we consider as a cytoplasm. Here you can see. So we can say that in the onion peel, we can see the nucleus and cytoplasm. Now let's see the next figure. Here you can see this kind of structure you can see in the microscope. This round portion that we consider as a nucleus, and this boundary that is known as a cell wall. This is the nucleus, and this border is known as the cell wall. And between the nucleus and the cell wall, it is known as a cytoplasm. And this black color and dark one border, that is known as the cell wall. Now we will study about the different kinds of the cells which is present into the human body. Now let's see in the figure. The first figure, you can see the round shaped structure cell is there. This round cell, red color cell, is known as a blood cell. The second one, that is of a bone cell. Our bone is made up by this kind of cell. You can see in that, you can see the structure. Bone cell are made up by this kind of cell. Bone is made up by this kind of cell. Now the next one, that is of muscle cells. It is help to contraction. So it is able to shrink, or you can say the expand or loose, means it is help for the movement. The next one, that is of ovum. Ovum, which is a male reproductive system. The next one, that is of a fat cell, which is present into our fat. The next one, that is of sperm. Sperm is the male reproductive organ, reproductive cell. And the last one, that is of a neuron cell, and which is responsible for the nerve system, and which is help to transfer the message from the body parts to brain. Now the next one, that is of types of organism on the basis of a number of cell, means a organism contain the how many cells. According to that, organism is divided into the two types. The first one, that is of a unicellular organism, and the second one, that is of multicellular organism. Now let's see in the detail the single cell organism, or you can say the unicellular organism. Here you can see in the name unicellular. Uni means one, or you can say the single. So it is a single cell organism, and it's do all the function, or you can say the all the function performed by the single cell, and its lifespan is very short. Means the unicellular organism contain a very short lifespan. Let's take an example of the unicellular organism, that is of amoeba. And amoeba does not possess a fixed shape. And amoeba is also example of the unicellular organism. Amoeba, bacteria, and paramecium. These three are the example of the unicellular organism. Here you can see the structure of the amoeba. It is uneven in shape. So the amoeba, bacteria, and the paramecium are the example of the unicellular organism. Now let's see the multicellular organism. Multi means consists a large number of cell. Then we consider it as a multicellular organism. It consists a large number of cells. Different cells perform a different function, and its lifespan is very long. For example, humans, trees, animals, these are the example of the multicellular organism. If any organism which is made up by the more than two cell, then we consider more than one cell, then we consider it as a multicellular organism. Now, what is a cell made up of? Here you can see. We already learned that all the organism that made up by the cell. So, question is arise that what is a cell made up of? Every single cell do the basic functions like exchange of the gas, digestion, absorption, etc. Exchange of the gas that we already study in the chapter number I think 6 life processes, and the digestion also, and absorption after the digested food. It is absorbed by the small intestine. So these all the organs which is made up by the cells only. Now let's see the what is the cell made up of. For the cell, it consists of mainly three components. The first one that is of a cell membrane, or you can also say as a plasma membrane. Here you can see in the figure this outer boundary which is darker, that we consider it as a cell membrane. Here you can see in the figure that is greenish one, a thick layer that we consider as a cell membrane, and it is also known as a plasma membrane. In the plant cell, the cell membrane also consists of the cell wall, while in the animals it consists of plasma membrane only. They do not possess the cell wall. The second one that is of nucleus. Here you can see in the figure that this dot structure, and a dot, or you can say the structure which is present inside the cell, then we consider it as a nucleus. The cytoplasm, third one that is of cytoplasm, means a space which is between to the nucleus and the plasma membrane. That portion of the cell we consider as a cytoplasm. Now let's study in detail the first main component that is of cell membrane, or you can say the plasma membrane. It is also known as a plasma membrane, also known as a plasma lemma. If I write down the short note of the plasma lemma, then also you have to write down the cell membrane only. So it is the boundary of the each cell which separate the cytoplasm from the surrounding. Here you can see it is the boundary of the cell. It is a present in the both animal cell as well as plant cell. It is a made up of protein and lipids. Maybe ask in the exam that write down the main constituent, or write down the cell membrane which is made up by which two main constituent, then that is of protein and lipid. The fourth point that is it is a selectively permeable. One more thing that it is also, you can say that the plasma membrane that is made up by the lipoprotein, means it is made up by lipid and protein. That's why it is also known as a lipoprotein. The fourth one that it is a selectively permeable in nature. Selectively permeable means it is allow only some of the molecule to come inside, not all. So it is known as selectively permeable in nature. It allows some minerals and some of the important things only allowed to come inside the cell. Now let's see how this material is passed throughout the plasma membrane. So the movement of the substance through plasma membrane, the first one, that is of a diffusion process. A diffusion process means it is a spontaneous movement of the substance from high concentrate region to the low concentration region. Then and on, the diffusion process is held for the separation when the two regions, the one region that is consist of the high concentration and the another region that is consist of a low concentration region. For example, most of the gas which is diffused or which is transferred by the diffusion process. For example, oxygen and the carbon dioxide, these both can move across the cell membrane by the diffusion process. If as that gaseous extension is occur in the cell, by which method? Then the answer is diffusion method. Here you can see that oxygen, it consists a higher concentration than the cell at the outside. So what happened? This outside oxygen is get inside due to the less concentration of oxygen which is present into the cell. So the outer oxygen which is go inside the cell. Now let's see the next one, that is of a osmosis process. Osmosis means the movement of the water molecules through the plasma membrane. Then it is called the osmosis. So generally gas is exchanged by the diffusion process, while most of the liquid molecules, or you can say the water molecules, is transferred by the osmosis process. The osmosis means the movement of the water molecules throughout the plasma membrane, then is called the osmosis. Now let's see what happened when cell put in a water solution of the sugar or a salt. Now let's study in the detail. If we are keep a cell into the water, then what happened? And if we are kept cell into the sugar or a salt solution, then what happened? That we will study in this slide. According to that, means the concentration of the inside the cell and the concentration which is outside the cell. According to that, the types of the solution on the basis of the concentration, there are three types. The first one, that is of a hypertonic, isotonic and hypotonic. The hypotonic solution means hypertonic solution. Here you can see the word hyper. Hyper means high, where the concentration of the solution is a high. If the high concentration is present outside the cell, then that kind of solution we consider as a hypertonic solution. Means the concentration of the solution is outside the cell is less than the inside the cell. Due to this, cell lose the water and it will be shrink. So that kind of solution we consider as a hypertonic solution. Here you can see in the first figure at the outer side of the cell, the concentration of the solution is very high than the inside the cell. So what happened? This all the water which is present inside the cell that come out and cell will be shrink. The second one, that is of isotonic solution. Isotonic solution means at the outside as well as the inside cell. At the both the side, the solution concentration is equal. Then we consider that kind of solution as a isotonic solution. Means the cell's amount of the water which is loosened by this cell, that is equal to the amount of the water which is comes inside the cell. So the equal concentration outside the and the inside the cell, then it considered as an isotonic solution. The third one, that is of hypotonic solution. The concentration of the solution outside the cell is more than the inside of the cell. Due to this, the cell gain the water. Here you can see, due to the, as we study that from the high concentration to the low concentration, the water is moved. So due to that, the water is come inside the cell. What happen if the water is comes inside the cell? The cell swallowing is occur, or if the excessive water is get inside, then it may be burst as well. So these are the three main types according to the concentration: hypotonic, hypertonic and isotonic. Now we will understand it with the figure so you can easily get the idea how the exactly processes occur. In the first figure you can see this is the hypertonic solution. In the hypertonic solution, here you can see in the cell the concentration inside the cell, it is high than the concentration of outside of the cell. So what happened? So all the water which is present, all the water which is present inside the cell, that is come out from the cell, because the concentration of the water is a high, concentration of the solution which is high inside the that's why it is go outside the cell. That's why the cell is becoming shrink. The next one, that is of isotonic solution. Here you can see at the outside the cell as well as the inside the cell, both the side the solution's concentration is equal. That's why the net movement is a zero, means whatever the amount of the water get inside, that much amount of the water is go outside. So the balancing is there. So that kind of solution we consider as an isotonic solution. The next one, that is of hypotonic solution. In this condition you can see in the figure, the inside the solution concentration is a very less inside the cell, while the outside of the cell you can see the concentration is very high. Due to that, all the water which is get inside, means the water is moved inside the cell. Due to that, the cell is gaining water and it is become a swell. And if the most amount of the water is get inside, then it may be burst as well. And if you want to see it by the practical, then you can use the Excel, by which you can see these three of the process.